Do you like simplicity? Do you like not actually thinking about points, conversions, redemptions, and transfers? Cashback. Simply cash back to your account. Today, we're going to talk about these credit cards that cost you absolutely nothing and then create the maximum cashback possible on your daily expenditure. Welcome to the Canada Credit Card Expert channel. What would be the best combo of no annual fee whatsoever and earning maximum possible cashback? Let's actually introduce these credit cards that make sense for your combo. In fact, we lined up 3, but possibly there is a 4th one. We'll get there in a sec. Let's have a look firstly at the Simply Cash card by American Express. This card is pretty much 2% on all your gas and groceries up to an annual count of $15,000. Beyond that, or on anything else category, would actually mean 1.25%. Let's just keep the American Express in mind while actually mentioning that the second one on the line would be Tangerine. The Tangerine has 2 versions. They're quintessentially the same when it comes to cashback. The only difference would be insurances. The World Tangerine Cashback card would actually mean you would have to earn a minimum of $60,000 per annum and you would get some insurances in return. Other than that, they are pretty much identical. The next card we are going to actually introduce to you is the Simply Financial card. This is by far the best credit card in Canada. No annual fee whatsoever for earning when you go out to eat. Whether it's Tim Hortons, McDonald's, or restaurant, that will be 4%. And that means up to $5,000 annual cup. Now, this particular card and the other 2 have also something in common. They are all not only no annual fee, but they are all category 2 with very basic purchase insurances, which pretty much means extended warranty as well as purchase assurance insurance. The only card that has a slight better one out of these 3 is the American Express Simply Cash card, which would also give you $100,000 travel accident insurance on common carrier. If you cared about it that much, that could be a great addition for you. Now, these 3 credit cards, we're going to focus on them when we build your combo. But we know that some of you might actually say, hey, you forgot the Rogers Red card, whether it's the World Elite MasterCard or the Rogers Red MasterCard. Now, that means that is another option, but we are going to look into that a little bit later because these particular cards are geared towards people who are actually clients of Rogers or Fido. However, you could still be using them even without being a client of Rogers or Fido and still get them as part of the combo. We'll have a look at it in a sec. Let's get back to the combo. So let's have a look now at this chart and see what it is that each one of them would actually earn and for what. The American Express Simply Cash, as mentioned, is essentially 2% on gas and groceries up to $15,000. Then you would have 1.25% on anything else. The Tangerine card is actually an amazing proposal. Why? Because as you see on the chart right now, you could actually select 2 categories out of these that you see now on the screen. And these 2 categories would be 2% as well. Now, remember, you do see gas and groceries, but we believe that if you do have one of the other cards, namely the American Express Simply Cash, these categories should not be selected. So essentially, you could select anything else. That means that you will be earning 2% on gas and groceries up to $15,000 with American Express. Now, on top of it, the Tangerine would have unlimited 2% on whatever 2 categories that you selected from the list that you see on the chart. Now, you could actually unlock another category, but that would be when you actually agree to get your rewards, that is your cashback, deposited into a Tangerine savings account. that is another possibility to enhance the combo. So now the combo is quintessentially 2% on gas and groceries by American Express Simply Cash, and then you would have 2% on whatever 2 or maybe 3 categories you selected from Tangerine. We remind you that we have a 4% category on restaurants, eating out, etc., and that would be your Simply card, and that Simply card would be an essential part of your strategy. What's happening next? Well, we would like to remind you that there are actually more earnings, and that means the Simply cards would actually give you 1.5% on gas and groceries, as well as drugstores, and that means for as long as you do not actually cross the 15K annual, you will actually getting 1.5% on gas and groceries. Now, since you actually used it with the American Express one, if you did cross the 15K mark, you can move to the 1.5% by Simply, and when you top it up with the amazing 4% on restaurants, you have an absolutely amazing combo. Now, let's look at miscellaneous spend. With these particular 3 cards, anything else, you will be using your American Express Simply Cash card. That is, you guarantee a minimum of 1.25% on anything else. You are not going to use the Tangerine or the Simply card for anything else category, because 0.5%, let's be honest, we are not taking these cards for 0.5% cashback. So again, less than 1.25%, that is not an option. So now we can actually move and discuss Rogers. Rogers is a very nice option that some of you might actually opt for. Now let's dissect Rogers into 2. Firstly, the question is, do you actually qualify for the Rogers World Elite MasterCard? You need 80K annual income. If you do, we'll keep it for a few moments before we just delve into the Rogers Red MasterCard. That's for those of you who don't actually qualify for the World Elite MasterCard. Now, this particular MasterCard by Rogers would actually make sense if you are a client of Rogers, FIDO, or Shaw, because that will mean that you will be earning 2% on absolutely anything, and that means that that would be your support card for Simply, or rather the other way around, which means if you are a client of Rogers, FIDO, or Shaw, all you need is the Rogers MasterCard and the Simply card, which would mean 2% on absolutely anything and 4% on eating out, up to 5K annual, and that means with Simply Cashback. Now, the redemption of the cashback you get could be actually up to 3% if you are a client and you decide to actually redeem it for Rogers, FIDO, or Shaw services. Now, what happens if you're not a client of Rogers, FIDO, or Shaw? Now, if you are not qualified for the World Elite MasterCard, we are going to pass on this card because that will be 1%. And in that case, we will stick to the combo of the American Express Simply Cash being the minimum 1.25% on anything else, which does not actually get the accelerators such as 4% with Simply, 2% on gas and groceries by Amex, and of course 2% on the categories you selected with Tangerine. So we are passing on this card if you're not a client. Now, what happens if you are actually qualified for the Rogers World Elite MasterCard? Now, firstly, this card has some travel insurances on top, and that means you will be getting some travel emergency medical insurance up to 10 days under the age of 65, or even 3 days up to the age of 75, trip interruption, cancellation, all of the good stuff. But on top of all that, because you got this card, you are guaranteed, even if you're not a client of Rogers, FIDO, or Shaw, to get 1.5% on anything whatsoever. And that means that the combo would pretty much be these 4 cards, Simply 4% on eating out, gas and groceries at American Express Simply Cash, Tangerine 2% on whatever categories you selected, 2 or 3, and on anything else, you will be using your Rogers World Elite MasterCard for 1.5% bare minimum. Now, if you are a client of Rogers, FIDO, or Shaw, it will make your life much simpler. And that means that you'll be able to actually reduce your combo to only 2 cards, namely Simply Cashback for 4% on eating out and 2% on absolutely anything else, unlimited, with a Rogers World Elite MasterCard, being a client of Rogers, Fido, or Shaw. And again, the redemptions work exactly the same way. That means if you did decide to redeem the cashback for services with Rogers, Fido, or Shaw, the 2% will become 3%. One last word about these particular cards. They do have enhanced earning on US dollar spend. So that is something you might consider if you ever travel to the United States or make purchases in United States dollars. So that would be 2% for the MasterCard and 3% for the World Elite. A nice feature to keep in mind. Thank you for all of you who have subscribed to the Canada Credit Card Expert channel. It truly helps us helping you. And obviously, please like us, the video that is. And other than that, we'll be more than happy to actually see you soon.